All right. How's it going, everyone? Welcome in, welcome in. See quite a few of you. Wow, there's 15 people. Hey, how's it going? How's everyone doing today? Ready for some Ghibli Grass tutorial here? Live tutorial. Hi. Welcome in, guys. This is awesome. I'm a little nervous, but that's to be expected. So today, hey, how's it going? The hearts in the chat. Hey. You're always nervous. Yeah. Yeah, just one of those things. All right. Just to give you guys a quick overview of what we'll be going over. We have, for our Ghibli Grass live tutorial, we're going to be going over the base shader, and then after that, some clovers and wild grass. And then we'll have a little break for questions. If you guys have any questions about the node setup or the geometry setup, and anything like that, it's going to be very simple and everything kind of just builds off of itself. So that's really nice. We'll start with the clovers and then we'll distort those a little bit to make the grass. And it's quite a lot of fun once you get the hang of it. This shader setup has been really useful for me because I can just drag and drop it into any scene if I have it in my asset file. What is it called? Little thing where you can open up a sidebar and just drop any appended assets that you have in your Blender files into your scene. So this is one of those. It should run very smoothly. Yes, the asset library. Thank you. Words were failing me just now, but yes, that's exactly what it is. Awesome. But yeah, so we'll go over that, and you'll be able to use the techniques for making flowers, for any sort of foliage that you'd want to do. It's using similar techniques as the one that I have in my cloud anime cloud tutorial. And I actually have that linked in the description of this stream here. So if you want to check that out, we're going to be using the geometry node group for that. I won't be going over the geometry node group because that would just take 30 extra minutes, and I want to focus on the grass textures for this. So welcome in, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Someone had a question. I think Starry had a question. I don't know if Starry is still here or not, but he asked if I'll be doing any arcane style tutorials in the future, because I said that I would in one of my previous videos, and yes, absolutely. So right now what I'm focusing on is textures and techniques that I'm using for a short film that I'm working on called Heartborn. I have a video that I posted about that. If you haven't seen it, then I'll probably link that in the description as well soon here. But that one I'm focusing on Ghibli style, anime style textures and whatnot. But the other short film that I'm working on as well, that one's more of a series. That one's called Banner of Souls, and it will be in the arcane style. So I'll do tutorials for both, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm just reading in the chat here. Are you planning on the arcane style shaders being procedural like most of your anime shaders? Yes, absolutely. Hi, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about my process for these shaders. I'll just jump into the blend file that we have going on here. But I'll be showing you guys how I have some textures over here. I hand painted some of these originally. All of, if I can see, or if I can show you guys. Don't want to select my son. My son! All right, all of these ones I had hand painted from the start just to try to get as close of a hand painted look just to see if it would work. In theory, these would work great, and if you're a better painter than me, then yours will probably work great. But for mine, they really didn't. So I just stuck with the procedural look. If I go here, these are all procedural textures, including the little brush stroke style like that. Completely procedural, and I tend to like the look of that a little bit better. So it's just all based on your own preference, what you guys like or not. But I'll be going over the nodes for that, how you set up this little, if I focus in on this here, this little grass diorama, if you will. It's got some flowers in there. Those use the same, let me unclick snapping here. Those use the same sort of techniques as the grass does. So if we don't get to that, just know that you can duplicate the same textures and just give it a different color. And that's how those will work. I'm reading someone else's message here. Should I apply a toon shader or cell shader from your tutorial on each object in an environment I created? It depends on how toonified you want the thing to be. So like this you see here, I'm going for a more painted style. But if you want more toon style shaders, or a like completely toonified look, there are some cartoons, especially American cartoons and animations, that use that shading style for pretty much everything in the background, and it does look really good. But it just depends on the style that you want to do. For me, I go with a mix. For anything that's animated or like characters or water shaders, which I can show you guys a little bit here. So I'm gonna just hide that real quick and then enable this here, this little diorama, just to show you quickly how toon shaders can fit into your scene with the hand painted look as well. So we have a little spirit fountain going on. Let me focus in on this whole thing. So little spirit fountain, have a nice statue in the background. It's the lag that you're seeing is on my end, not on your guys' end, just because there's so much going on in the particular scene itself. But looks amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Should you use HDRI for your toon look or avoid it and just make your own lighting? I do a mix of both, actually. So this scene has a mix of, let me open this menu up. It has its own in Blender HDRI, and I can change these to be different. So if I want different sort of world lighting, then I can do that. Just to give a little bit more dynamic lighting. But if I change it specifically to the other shaded type, I only have a sun in here. You would obviously want to light your scene up a little bit better than what I have going on in this, but HDRIs are a good way of doing that, in my opinion. But yeah, so toon shaders and whatnot, toon style, you can use it for anything animated. So I'll press play. This is going at a fraction of the speed that it would usually go. And I did a little stream and highlight video about this. You can check that out. That was my most recent video that I made. But toon style, I would recommend for anything that's moving or animated in your scene. And then hand painted style for anything else, like grass or rocks, statues, wood, anything else that's not moving. That's typically the way that anime across the board does it. There's some newer anime that have a little bit better technology. So they are able to get away with things that are hand painted and moving. And you can kind of see that style in video games like Ori and the Will of the Wisps or the Blind Forest and other things, which are a huge inspiration for this style that I'm going for. But that's just my personal preference. It's all up to personal preference. But so this is going to be available to download, this whole diorama, and I'm going to add one more asset, one more little thing somewhere in here. But it's going to be available to download on September 1st for my patrons. Depending on the tier that you have, you'll get more, or the complete set. But if you guys want to get your hands on this, feel free to go over there. It supports the channel a lot, and I appreciate it. But I really appreciate you guys being here as well. This is a lot of fun for me. But yeah, so I'll just hide that real quick and go back to the tutorial file, focus in on this. This will make things run a little bit smoother, just having this smaller scene going on. And it's not a huge thing. As you can see, this is a 6-foot reference right here for basically as tall as a human male is. So you can see that the grass isn't super big or super small. It's generally in the same size that you would want it to be. Let me look at the chat here real quick. Will the VOD be available on the channel after the stream? I'm unable to watch right now. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'm recording all of this. So this will be uploaded by Friday when I release the shorter highlight version of this live stream. And this whole VOD will be in the description of that live stream in case you guys want to go back and watch it and get the more detailed version of all of this. But yeah, any more questions? I'm just going to look at the chat real quick before we go into the full tutorial. But any more questions for you guys? Looking over here, there's a really great procedural world shader. That sounds awesome. Will the VOD be available for anyone or just members or patrons? Great question. Yeah, so this is a public stream, and I'll be doing 2 of these types of streams, two public streams every month, and then 2 members / Patreon only streams a month as well. So people who are members or patrons, they'll get a stream every week, but then there will be a public stream every other week. I hope that answers your question. But yes, this VOD will be available for this one specifically will be public for anyone to watch. Let's see. Thanks. Have a good night. Oh, you have a great night too. Thank you so much for jumping in. I hope you sleep well and that you learn something when you get the chance to watch this VOD. It'll be uploaded later this week. Hand painted style, my own. Oh, you hand painted your own HDRI the other day, inspired by your. Oh, thank you so much. That's really cool. You'll have to tell me how you hand painted that. I have a free painting software called Krita, and that's not like sponsored or anything. That's just the one that I use, and I've tried to paint my own HDRIs in there, but I haven't been able to figure out. So that's really cool, Stopzilla. That's awesome. But yeah, so let's just get into the overview real quick here. Just to show you guys what's going on, I have 2 different layers. One is just the grass textures themselves. I can show you. You can see that it doesn't have the ground texture, and then this is the ground texture that is underneath it. So I'm just gonna undo that, and also just so you guys are aware, for this grass texture and these grass textures, they do have the geometry 2D instancing node setup that I use in my Animate Clouds tutorial, which is linked in the description if you didn't hear that before. I'm not going to go over how to create this, but if you want well, I'm not going to go over it in this stream because I went over it in that other tutorial. But if you want to see what it looks like, it probably doesn't need any of this stuff. I haven't used that for the textures themselves, but everything else here, if you want to take a screenshot, that's one of the best ways that I recommend learning how to make shaders and make them from scratch, is just taking screenshots or looking at Pinterest boards that have just pictures of these and recreating it yourself. It fast-tracked my ability to create any sort of texture and shader from my own head, just from my imagination. So if you want to do that, feel free to take a screenshot of this. If not, then the tutorial is in the description of this stream here. Just under the use the geometry node setup in this tutorial for Ghibli Grass. That's the one that you'll want to click on. But yeah. Oh, you use Krita too? Love the brushes. They feel best to use for your drawing tablet. Yeah, that's so cool. I draw on my computer. I have a drawing tablet that's attached to my computer. So that's awesome. That's really cool. But yeah, welcome in everyone who is coming in right now. We're just going to get started on the shaders and textures that we have going on here. This isn't currently relevant, so it doesn't matter what shader you have on the placeholder for all of your grass, just because the mesh itself will be completely transparent. You won't be able to see it, but it will be relevant for whatever is underneath your grass, particularly the terrain. And for both of these meshes, I just have the same displacement displacement modifier on here, and I'll give you a quick look at what that is like. I hope you guys can all see this from behind my little head there. But yeah, so it's just a Voronoi texture with an intensity of 1, a size of 0.8, and I don't think I changed anything for the Nabla or anything else. So just the size was all I changed. And then the displacement texture itself, it's just going on the z-axis, and it is global rather than local for the coordinates. And its strength is negative 0.2, and the mid-level stays as is. I have it at negative 0.2 because it just inverts the Voronoi texture, so you get nice rounded bumps and shapes, and that's exactly what we want. So it's on both the grass instance placeholder and the plane that's underneath it that's acting as the background for the grass, as well as the subdivision modifier. And just so you're aware why this is so high, it's just because if I press tab, this is a plane. It only has 4 vertices. If you have more vertices than that, you don't need as many. Just make sure that it's the same geometry for your grass instancing as is for your ground shader. But yeah, we'll get started. Hi, Raphael. How's it going? Love your shader tutorials. I'm learning Blender and my mind is slowly expanding with the shader knowledge. That is awesome. That is what I love to hear. That's why I'm here to help you guys. And I just want you guys to be able to create whatever's on your mind. If you want to make a story or just a nice little diorama, then I love to hear that you guys are doing stuff like that. So that's so cool. I'd be curious how to take this and put it in an engine like Unreal, Godot, etc. Yeah, I'll be curious how to do that too. If I can't get all of the scenery to for my short films, if I can't get all of the scenery to just be in Blender, then I'll likely go into Unreal, the free version. I think they have a free version for like indie projects and whatnot. I'll probably bring that over to Unreal and show you guys the process for that, if it comes to that. If not, then I know that there are plenty other tutorials that are really good for that, and bringing stuff from Blender over into Unreal and Godot. But yeah, hopefully I'll get the chance to show you guys how that works. But yeah, so I'll just go back over to my texture placeholders here. I'm going to just bring this down a little bit. So once again, I tried using hand-painted textures. On paper, they seemed pretty decent, pretty okay. But in reality, in like the execution of it, it didn't mesh very well. And I think it's just because I didn't have enough, what is it called? Variation between the grasses. I would have to make a lot more hand painted textures in order for a bigger scene to look like genuinely painted, which is what I'm going for. But in this particular thing, because I didn't have as many as I would like, it just didn't look full enough. Or like it was actually painted. So what's great about procedural textures is that you can emulate the hand-painted style, and them being procedural, they can be infinitely different shapes, different colors, which is exactly what we want. I used one hand-painted texture for the background before I started this stream, but I'm always trying to improve my crafts. There's always something that can be done a little bit differently. And so I just ended up making this particular texture, and it's not going to look like this exact thing. I'll show you what it looks like on the grass itself. But I ended up making this. It, to me, looks a whole lot better, but it's all up to you guys and how you want your grass to look. If you are good at painting or want to paint your own grass textures or implement a mix of both. I'll just be showing you how to make all of this procedurally, just using nodes that are in Blender on its own. Let's see here. So quick question, do you just mix the textures with the shader? You talking about hand painted textures or like the in-house textures like Voronoi and other things like that? Because you can do a mix of both if you really want to. Hi Lovo, how's it going? Welcome into the stream. All right. So just seeing that someone's hopping off. Bye. Thank you so much for joining the stream. You can definitely check out the VOD later. It will all be recorded and publicly available. You'll be able to find it in the description of the highlight version of this. I'll make a shorter highlight version of this stream by Friday. But yeah, so if we go over here, then I can show you guys just a quick overview of what the textures look like. And this is a lot more organized than I usually have it. Like if I click on one of these, you can see that I'm a little bit all over the place, but I have organized it for you guys today. So that's pretty happy. But yeah, so I think what we'll start off with is just the color shape, and this will be the base for not just our grass, but also our terrain shader as well. That's just the general setup that we'll do. We'll also want the brush texture. This is just to emulate that hand-painted brushstroke look while not actually having to make a procedural, or sorry, make a hand-painted look. And to give you an idea of what that is, it's this little flow that you see going on here. It's infinite, and it goes in a swirly direction. Like if I increase this particular noise texture scale, then you'll see that the fake brush hairs get a little bit thinner, or they get a little bit wider. And then this scale here will change how far away or close up you are to that particular brush. And that'll be all throughout our grass. I literally just started to, I'm reading a chat message here. I literally just started to learn how to use Blender, particularly 2 days ago. I'll do my best to follow, even though I won't. You'll do great either way. I'm so excited for you to be starting your Blender journey. That is so awesome. Follow along as much as you can. Take your time. If you need to look back at the VOD, feel free to. Have you tried manipulating the UVs for wind animation within Shader? That's a great idea. I haven't yet, but I have seen a tutorial by Tawan Sunflower, if you guys know who he is. Really cool guy. Makes very similar style tutorials and shaders and whatnot. He did, I don't know if he edited the UVs for his grass, but he did something to have it animate. So if I can't link it right now, but I'll definitely link it in the VOD. He has a really good tutorial for that. But yeah, he might have used geometry nodes to emulate the wind through the grass. But either way, you can definitely do that. You've done the UV editing before, but works with some styles. I think that means more. Sorry, I'm hey Manny, how's it going? I think he did have the geo node set up. But yeah, so I'm going to just take a moment, or not take a moment. I'm going to focus on this. I won't be able to look so much at the chat right now as I'm talking you guys through the shader setup and recreating that for you guys. But I will have another break for questions and comments if you guys have any more throughout or after I show you guys how to build this. But thank you so much, Manny. I hope your day's been good as well. But yeah, so getting into it, or getting back to it, I should say. I'll let you guys see this a little bit here. So we have our shader setup. We'll start with the color shape and the brush texture. Both of those will go into our color dynamics. And this is just how we can determine different patches of grass, if you will, how light we want certain areas to be. The dark color will be for fake shadows and whatnot, and it'll look like little grass clumps. And I'll show you guys, I have some, what is it called, reference images here. So we're trying to go for this kind of a style. Have some of these more shaded areas in between grass clumps, and just go for that sort of a look, without having the light, the actual physical light and shadows do all of the work for us, which it'll do some, but not all. So that's the general idea, and that's what the darker color will be doing for us. The multiply here just increases the visibility of the colorization for the brush stroke texture. So if I increase that, you can see that some areas get darker, but if I decrease that, then you'll see that it's completely gone. So I have it at 0.1. You can obviously increase or decrease however you would like. And then the diffuse, you'll notice that it has a normal connecting, or a normal node connected to the normal of the diffuse BSDF, and that the color is not connected to our diffuse BSDF. Instead, it's connected to a multiply. And the reason for that is because I don't want the colors to be too affected by the light and shadows. I instead just want, and I'll show you guys a little bit here. If I focus back in on our little grass diorama, and I go to the regular shading viewport, I'm just gonna grab my sun. And so what the multiply for that, where is it? Here it is. I'll just pin this so that it's easier to keep track of things. So what the multiply is doing for this diffuse BSDF and why it's not plugged into, or why the color isn't plugged into the diffuse BSDF, is because with a completely white color for a diffuse, I can just take the color input from the sun or any other light that I have in the wow, words are failing me right now. I'm sorry. Whatever other light I have in the scene, and it will automatically just change to that color, or be affected by that color, without the color of the grass affecting it too much. Sometimes you get a little bit of artifacting if you have this result connected here, and so it's easier just to do it this way. But yeah, all of that is plugged into the output, which connects our color and textures with our alpha, which is basically the mask that we have for our little grass instances. I'm going to change this back to the HDRI and sun shading, just a little bit brighter, a little bit more vibrant. But so these sections here will determine the shape of our grass. So I'm going to move back over to the texture placeholder. And so the shape distortion, you'll see here, I have it plugged into a mix that also has the generated texture coordinate plugged into it as well. Generated is plugged into the A input, and the noise is plugged into the B input. The noise and all of the different textures that I have are plugged into the object info node, and what that does is just make everything random based on the coordinates of your specific object. Just creates a whole lot more variation, which makes things look actually hand painted rather than just duplicated over and over again. But again, what this is doing is creating all these little fragmented shapes. The noise is what's doing that. And so if I increase this mix, it will distort the mapping and texture coordinate node, which is just connected to our spherical gradient, which is why this is in a little spherical shape. And so if I increase that, you guys will see that it spreads out to the shape of the noise, which is really cool. And if I decrease it, then we just have the regular gradient texture that also has the linear light with the brush texture as well. And if I decrease that, then you can see that this is what the full brush texture looks like. If I increase it, then it just conforms to the same shape as the spherical gradient texture. And this can be changed in on the location as well as the scale. I have it at 1.8 for all of these. But if you wanted to, you could squash it, stretch it a little bit. But it's a whole lot easier to do that in the geometry node setup as well. You're rewatching it. Is definitely, my brain is leaking. Oh, that's totally okay. Don't worry. Take your time rewatching this. Just thank you so much for joining the stream. Hello to anyone new who's joined in. Thank you so much for joining as well. But yeah, so that's the general overview of the shader that we have going on here. I almost forgot. I want to change this back to, I think I had it at 0.15. Yeah, that's good. It's a little bit more distorted on here, and that's just because the placeholder for the texture that I have is a little bit bigger than the actual 2D instancing that I have on the grass as well. And you can see if I just shrink this, then I'll tab out and it has shrunk. It's a little bit less distorted. And so I am just going to have the bigger version here to start, and then we'll see how that translates over to the texturing. So just to get into the recreation of the whole shader itself, I'm going to stay in this same texture just so that I can always look back at what I've already built here. Have a little cheat code, you know, make it a little bit easier for me to know what's going on. I'll shrink this quite a lot, so we'll still be able to see this shader, but I do want to focus in on the nodes. So we'll get started with the color shape. So what we have going on here is we'll start with the noise texture. So I'm just gonna press Shift A and search for a noise texture. I have Node Wrangler enabled in the system preferences. So you can just go to the add-ons, type in node, and it'll be the first thing. Just press that little check and save preferences, and you'll be able to press Shift A and search for all of the nodes. But yeah, so we have the noise texture right here. Looks like for the scale, we changed it to 1.5. And I think that's the only change that I did. Maybe this is my least favorite word here. I hate that word. It's Lakanar. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's my arch nemesis in the entire dictionary and vocabulary. But yes, so I'm just going to have that and press Control T, and that will give me the texture coordinate node and mapping node. We'll connect the object output to the vector input, and then I also just want to search for an object info node, and it's right here. We'll place that right underneath, can stay a little bit organized, and we'll connect the location to the location input of that. Thank you, Zendao. I hope that's how you pronounce your last name. As much as you helped me learn how to pronounce that, I will never be able to pronounce the yeah, I won't be able to pronounce that word correctly ever. But thank you. Welcome back, Starry. How's it going? Oh, I'm so sorry you can't sleep. Don't worry, you didn't miss too much. We were just going over the basic overview, and we're just now getting into recreating the textures. So didn't miss too much there. Hello to anyone new. Thank you so much for joining the stream. But yeah, getting back to the shader here, what else do we have going on? We have a mix color, and we have a color ramp. So I'll just search for those with Shift A, do mix color, and we have that right there. I always like to line the tops up. I don't know. Do you guys ever do that when you try to just line it up just perfectly? Or is that just me? It might just be me. But yeah, so I'm going to connect the... Did I have the color? Yes, I had the color. So I'll connect the color to the A input. And I'll also grab a color ramp. There we go. Put that right underneath. Oh, Star, you like to line it up too? Yeah, it's one of those just one of those things. It, like, annoys me if it's not all lined up perfectly. But yeah. So anyway, so we have this connected like so, and we'll also want to. I think I have the mapping node connected to the B input. Yes. So we'll just connect the vector output of the mapping node to the B input there. The mix color is it's at 0.7, I believe, and that's just so that we have a little bit more input from our mapping node than our texture coordinate node. And so I'm just going to press Shift, Control, and left click on here. Oh wow, that has some serious emission. Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, so just going to click that and show you guys what this will look like just on its own. The mapping node particularly has that, apparently it has a very green output for this particular thing. But if we go to the mix, then what the noise texture is doing is it's just distorting the uniform and mathematically correct output of the mapping node. So we'll have a little bit of variation for the grass texture. So it won't look 3D. That's what we're trying to move away from in a 3D software. So yeah, that's the general idea. And you can see that this is what the noise texture on its own looks like. Also, thank you so much, I'm gonna butcher your name, I'm so sorry, but John Jitsu. I like that name. That's cool. Thank you so much for joining the channel and being a paid member, a producer mug. That is a huge help to me. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed on Patreon and has become a member on YouTube. You guys really make these streams and tutorials possible. So it just means a whole lot. Thank you so much. But yeah, so what else do we have going on here? We have a Voronoi texture and another color ramp, but the color stops are inverted. So I'm just going to search for another Voronoi or a regular Voronoi. We haven't added one anymore, or yet. Do I have the glare node on in the compositor? Yes, I do actually, and thank you so much for pointing that out. So I have, I'll show you guys here. I have the compositing node set up, this particular one. I'm using two Kuwahara filters. One is classic, and one is anisotropic. Anisotropic. That's what it's called. And you guys can take a screenshot of this. I have a tutorial for how to set that up in your viewport as well in the description below. So just look for the, it's titled Add the Kuwahara filter to your viewport with compositing nodes. And you just click on that link and it'll send you to that tutorial where it'll show you how to enable all of this or set all of this up in your viewport. But very quickly, I'll just show you that under this little tab here for compositor, I have, it's usually on disabled, and you can kind of see how things start to sharpen when I have that on disabled. But if I press always, then things soften up a little bit. It makes a big difference for making things totally on, or sorry, not totally, painterly on the whole viewport area. So that that is what you would like to do for setting this up. But yeah, so that's the general thing. Feel free to take a screenshot and set this up yourself, or check out that tutorial in the description below. But once again, thank you so much for pointing that out. I would have forgotten to let you guys know, and you guys would have been like, what? My shaders are looking a little bit different. But yeah, it just adds a little bit of a painterly filter over the top. But anyways, so we have the Voronoi, and now we'll just duplicate the color ramp over here. So I'll press Shift D, bring that in front, and then I'm just going to connect the distance and bring the color stops, make them inverted. You can either do that or just search for the inverted color. That will work as well for inverting it. But I'm going to delete that. And I just want to make sure that I have everything correct for the color ramps here before I start connecting things. So it looks like the black color stop is on the 0.4 position, and the white color stop is on the 0.6. So I'll do that really quickly. Just type in 0.4 and then 0.6. There we go. And we'll also change the Voronoi from F1 to smooth F1 and connect the color ramp's color into the smoothness of that. And then lastly, I'll just connect the mix color into the vector, and we'll see what this all comes up with. And to give you a little bit of a better understanding, I will just increase the size of this a little bit. So we have a little bit of a distorted shaping to our Voronoi. That's exactly what we want. And the reason why it's distorted is because it doesn't just have the mapping node input. See, if I connect just this, then everything will be a little bit more uniform. But because we have the noise texture that's interfering with the normals of this, then we have it a little bit more distorted. And you can see how that will change based on the normal texture and scale. So I keep it at this texture, but definitely feel free to change things however you like for your particular preferences. Muffin Juice X, I'm seeing you're touching grass. You want to be able to count this, so you'll touch grass. That is awesome. Hopefully we can all touch grass after this. But yeah, so that is generally the way that we want to set up our color shape. We might want to crank some of these color stops up. So it looks like the white color stop is at 0.3 and the black is at 0.9. So I'll do that very quickly here. Black color stop, 0.9, and white color stop is at, I think I said 0.3. 0.3, yeah. Yeah, and that looks pretty good for now. I am going to shrink this back down to fit within those small squares. There we go. Oh, it's not perfect. Oh, that bothers me. Okay. My perfectionist is coming out a little bit. But yeah, so that's what we'll want to do for that. We have the color shape texture all set up. So I'm just going to bring this over, select the whole thing and press Shift P and then F2 to do color, or to rename it color shape. There we go. So now that we have that, I'm going to scoot this down just a little bit. I'll give this a little bit more room. And then we have next, we should probably add the brush texture. So what it looks like we have here is another set of texture coordinate node, and mapping node connected to a noise texture, and that is plugged into another noise texture's vector input with a color ramp. So very simple. So you can either just duplicate these and remove them from the group node, or you can just search for a new noise shader as well, noise texture. So I'll just do that, noise texture. There we go. We'll need two, so I'll just press Shift D to duplicate that. And then on this last one, I'll press Control. Well, actually, I don't think that I need to make a new one. I can literally just connect the original mapping node to that vector input. Awesome. Yeah, that works. And then the factor is plugged into the vector input of the other noise texture. So we'll just do that real quick. And as you can see from the top one here, we have the scale very low and the roughness at 0. And that's because this texture is driving the shape. I'll plug this in so you guys can see what that is doing. So the first noise texture is driving the shape, right? And the second noise texture is driving the amount of brush hairs that we want. So we'll just, we'll move this up a little bit, and I'm going to add a color ramp. That's definitely how you spell color. Add a color ramp. We'll connect the factor or the color. I don't think it really matters. But I'm going to set this, I'm going to turn this down, the roughness down, and set the scale to 0.5. And the scale for the other noise texture at, I think I had it at 15. We'll see how that goes. And then I've also cranked the color stop a bit, and I've increased the detail to 3 and the roughness to 1. So I'll just do that, increase this to 3. And this, I like having the color ramps on ease. I feel like it just gives it a little bit more depth. You can see the difference between linear and ease there. It's up to personal preference, but I have the black color stop at 0.35 and the white color stop at 0.6. So I'll just put that in here, 0.35, there we go, and 0.6. There we go. So we have a lot more contrast between the lights and darks, and that will affect both our color as well as our mask for the alpha. And so this is what it should look like. Obviously, you can increase the scale for either of these or play around with them however you would like. But that is all we need, I believe, for the brush texture. So I'm just going to make a new frame with Shift P and press F2 on my keyboard to then rename this to brush texture. There we go. I want to bring this over to, again, with my organization, it's got to line up perfectly, and I don't think that lines up perfectly, but I'm just going to have to deal with it and move on. Oh, that's heartbreaking right there. But yeah, so now we are going to go into the color dynamics. And this is just where our texture gets its color from. So we have a mix color, a multiply, 2 multiplies actually, and then just a regular diffuse with a normal node plugged into it and a shader to RGB. I'll tell you guys more about the normal node in a little bit here, but let's make this for a quick second first. So I'm just going to search for a mix color node. There it is. I'll put that there. I think so which one was connected to it? Yes, the Voronoi texture. I'm going to bring this down so it's a little bit easier for my brain to process. The Voronoi texture's color ramp color is going to connect to the factor. And then we're just going to put a lighter green color in the B input and a darker greenish blue color in the A input. And that's because the A input will always be whatever the black color stop is, and the B input will be what the white color stop. I'm just realizing I might have the Voronoi textures scale. Yeah, I reduced it a little bit and had a little bit more roughness to it. So I'm going to... Oh, I'm just seeing in the chat. Thank you so much. Well, I have to. Thank you so much for the $5 donation. That's really, really nice of you. But yeah, so for the Voronoi, I have it a little bit smaller of a texture, so or bigger, I should say. So which equates to a smaller number on the scale. So I have it at 1, I think I had it, and the detail is at 0.5 and the roughness is at 0.3. So I'll just type that in real quick. 0.5, 0.5, and 0.3. There we go. All right. So now what we'll be able to do is just add a light color for the B input and a dark color for the A input. I'll show you guys what the particular colors I'm using for are. So the hex is 4FDD4BFF. You can obviously use whatever. Uh-oh, I accidentally did something there. There we go. It's back to normal. You can obviously use whatever color you would like for this. But that's going to go in the B input, the lighter color is. And the darker color is going to go in the A input. There we go. Just to give you guys a look at the hex for the darker color, it is 0044445FF. But once again, obviously use whatever colors you like. And then we also have 2 multiplies and then this little diffuse shader setup down here. So I'm going to add the mix color. We'll put that there. And that will be a multiply. I'll duplicate this over with Shift D. And then I'll also add the diffuse BSDF. I'll put that underneath this multiply. The shader to RGB. Oh, that's not it. That's an add shader. RGB, let me just type that in. Shader to RGB, here we go. And then a normal node. And the cool thing about the normal node is that I'll show you guys how this works. So I'm just going to plug in the regular diffuse here. As you can see, if I go underneath this, it will have some shadows on here. And that's typically how the diffuse BSDF works, obviously. It interprets shadows. And so the reason why we have the normal node in here is because if we connect this to the normal of the diffuse, it gets rid of the shadows on the back, but still allows for world shadows and other objects to cast shadows on top of this particular texture. And so that's what we want. We don't want any of the grass textures themselves casting any shadows. We just want the grass textures to almost be emissive while still accepting world shadows and other objects' shadows. So I'll connect the shader to RGB node there. And then if I go up real quick, back up to the color dynamics here, we have the multiply has its A input connected to the mix, and the B input is connected to our brush texture. And we have a similar setup for the second multiply. So I'm just going to set that up very quickly. So we have the color into the A input. B input is in the brush texture. Let's press Shift Control and left click to show you guys what that will look like. So we have that brush texture put in there. And then I'm going to reduce this factor to 0.1. You can have it at any amount that you want, depending on how prominent or not so prominent you want this texture to be. It will definitely be more prominent once it's put into the alpha, the mix of this. But yeah, so then we'll just connect the first multiply into the A input of the second multiply, and I'll move some of this stuff over. It's unfortunately not going to be perfectly aligned with anything. But we'll just connect that to the B input, and now we have a texture. Once this loads here, we have a texture that can now accept, if I go to regular shading, can now accept, this is if the factor of the multiply is put all the way up, this can now accept the different colored light in your scene. So that's what we want. That's what we love. And we can go back to this. I don't know if I had it all the way. Ah, yes, I did. So it's all the way, and that should be good. I'm just reading in the chat here. Are your movies going to be voice acted? As in, will there be voice actors? Yeah, for Banner of Souls, there definitely will be. And I'll figure all of that out. Someone else asked if they could voice act in one of the comments for my other videos. And so I'll probably be having auditions for that when it comes up. But yes, there's definitely going to be voice acting in the Banner of Souls short films, but not so much in the Heartborn ones. Those will be more or less talking, more just animals, because it's just animals that are in there. You want to help voice act too? Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, so when it comes time, I'll set up auditions and you guys can audition for that. That would be so cool. It can be like a community thing. But yeah, so we'll move back up, and that is all we need for the color dynamics. So I'm just going to select all of this once again and press Shift P to stay organized with a frame, and press F2 on my keyboard to then call it color dynamics. Dynamics. Hopefully I spelled that right. And yeah, that is going to hopefully line up nicely. There we go. And now we can move on to the different section, which is setting up our masks for the textures. But yeah, so in order to do that, let me actually focus in on this real quickly. I'm sorry I can't look at the chat very much right now, but after I'm done showing you guys the whole process for this, then I'll definitely look at the chat more and engage a whole lot more. But I'll occasionally see what you guys are talking about in there. But once again, thank you guys so much for joining the stream. This is a lot of fun for me. I hope it's fun for you as well. But yeah, so we first have our shape distortion, which is a very simple texture. It's just an object info node with the texture coordinate and mapping node. Nothing's changed for any of that there. And then we have the noise texture with the scale increased to 25. That's the only thing that changed. So we can just add that very quickly up here, and we'll do it right above our brush texture. So I'll search for another noise. This is a very noise heavy shader setup going on. I like it. And then we'll press Control T. Actually, we still don't even need this, because we can just plug it into from our original mapping node. So we can plug that in there, and we'll change the scale to 25. And I'll show you what that does in a second here. But now if we go back up, that's all we need for the shape distortion. You can put a frame around just that one node if you want to. But if you don't want to, if you want to just put it in with the rest of this texture here, then you can. But so we'll go into the distorted gradient. And that has a texture coordinate node that's separated from the mapping node by a mix color. And then the mapping node is just connected to the gradient and a color ramp there. So we'll just do that very quickly here. So I'll search for a gradient texture, and then I'll press, did I just say plus? I'll press Control T. And this is a little bit different than what we did before. So I'm going to move this on the y-axis up, so it's mostly aligned. And we're going to keep it connected to the generated output of the texture coordinate node. And the reason for that is that we want the gradient texture. I'll plug this in, and we'll change this to spherical instead of linear. We want to center this spherical texture, gradient texture, so that it will be in the center of our little plane we have going on here. And the reason why it's staying on the generated rather than putting it on object is because object, it won't make or have the gradient centered in the particular plane for all of the instances of this this shader that we have, but generated does, which will be very helpful for all of the textures that we create. So before we go into centering this, I just want to add the mix color node for the noise texture. So mix color, we'll put that right in the middle, that there, and then connect the raw color to the B input. And what that is doing is it is now distorting the input from our texture coordinate node to the mapping node. And the more we increase this, the more it will just look like the noise texture is controlling the gradient. And the less we have of this, the less of that. It'll be completely spherical. We just want a little bit of distortion. So if I see here, I have the factor at 0.15. And so if yes, here it is. So if I focus on this, then we'll just type in 0.15. There we go. So we just have a little bit of distortion. And then I also increased the scale, I believe, to 1.8 on all of these, as you see here. Yep. So in order to do that, instead of having to change all of these inputs individually, I'm just going to search for a value node. You can also use a math node as well. Just set to add or subtract with the bottom value at 0, and then change the value that way. So I'll just type in for our value 0.8, and for the top value here, 0.8. Oh, that's a 9. 0.8. There we go. And now if I plug this in, you can see that we'll have to center this, but it drastically decreases the scale. And so just gonna center the gradient on our plane here. There we go. It can be a little finicky, but the particular coordinates that I had for that are negative 2.9 and negative 2.6. Granted, this is all in the, if I go to my settings here, I have the, is it in this? Hold up, I'm all of a sudden forgetting, is it in world? Or is it in scene? It's in scene, okay. My units are on imperial rather than the metric system, so this will be different. The metric system, you'll have negative 0.884 for the x-axis and negative 0.792 for the y-axis. Imperial is what I know. I'm just going to stick with that because doing it the other way will confuse me a lot. But that's the general area that you'll want to have this to be. It doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see here, I don't have it perfect. But that's basically, you'll just want to center that. So now that we have our texture there, also it works with the math node as well. I'm seeing in the chat here, someone said it's lagging. Let me check the stream health real quick for data and whatnot, or data, I should say. It says that on my end, the stream status is at excellent, which is really cool. It might just be lagging on your end, and I do apologize for that. But I hope that you can still follow along. This whole thing is being recorded right now, and will be uploaded onto YouTube later this week if it's a little bit too laggy to follow. What do I think the best way to learn nodes is? I would say to just jump in the deep end and not look at tutorials so much. Have a balance between tutorials and just looking at screenshots of these. You can find a lot of them on Pinterest. I'll show you guys very quickly, and then we'll get back into the main course, if you will. Also, I have a little anime inspiration board if you guys want to check that out. It's in the description of this live stream, so feel free to click on that if you want a little bit of inspiration and the types of stuff that I look at to model my scenes after. But I'll just type in here, I don't want to search my pins. I want to just go to home feed and search. And I talked a little bit about this in my previous stream and video, but we'll just type in here Blender node, Blender nodes. We'll just check that out, right? And so we'll see a bunch of different stuff like this. And I'll open that up, and I'll open this up. And so what I would do, and this particular picture is what really got me into to trying to learn this way, just because it didn't have the full shader setup or the full node setup available, and I love the way these textures look. So I tried to figure out how to recreate this on my own. And that fast-tracked me for sure on learning how to create shaders on my own without needing a tutorial. Because, especially if it's in a different language, and I talked about this a little bit in my previous video as well. If it's in a different language, or if the picture is a little bit blurry, it would force me to have to look up all of the different node functions just to see which node looked the same, rather than just knowing the name of it and searching for that one specifically. And so just by doing that and playing around with the different nodes, trying to particularly get this shader to work, I still haven't figured out how this works. I'm still trying. But yeah, just trying to match what you see, as well as this would definitely be a more intermediate to expert level of just seeing a texture without seeing the full shader node setup and trying to recreate it on your own. So yeah, that's how I would recommend if you want to really fast track your learning of textures and nodes, as well as doing tutorials on YouTube, checking those out, because that helps out a lot as well. Just might not help out as much as throwing yourself in the deep end and doing it that way. But yeah, so thank you so much for asking that question. I'm going to get back to the shader setup here. I don't want to get behind too much, and then I'll take a look at chat and answer more questions. But so we have our distorted gradient, I believe. We just need to add a color ramp. And it looks like the color stop for the white stop is the only one that's changed, and it's been changed to 0.3. So we'll add a new color ramp, there we go, and change this to, make sure we're on the white stop, and change it to 0.13. There we go. Yeah, and it looks like I still have it on linear. We can see if it works a little bit better on ease, but I think we might want to keep it on linear because we don't want too much to change. Yeah, so linear will make things look a little bit more flat, if you will, whereas ease will soften the edges a little bit more. So it's all up to you and in your personal preference. You can mess around with that if you like. This is just how I have the particular alpha set up for this. So I'm gonna keep things a little bit more organized here and move this over, select everything and press Shift P, and then F2 on the keyboard to rename it to, what did I have it before? I'll combine the two names and say distorted gradient. There we go. Fantastic. So now the last thing we need to do for this whole shader is just connect it all together to an output. And so we just have a linear light with our distorted gradient connected to the B input and our brush texture to the A input with the factor all the way up. We have a color ramp just to adjust things a little bit further, and our transparent BSDF and mix shader node there. So I'm just going to add those nodes in here. So we'll go with the mix color. There we go. Put that there. And then the color ramp. I completely botched the spelling of that, but thankfully Blender knew what I was talking about. And then we'll add a transparent BSDF and a mix shader as well. I'll put this a little bit up, then mix shader. There we go. And we want to change the mix color to a linear light. That will just make whatever's connected to the A input, which will be our brush texture. That will make it be conformed to the shape of whatever's in the B input, particularly when it's black and white. It does something a little bit different when it's in color, but that's the general idea of why we're using it this way. And I actually want to connect it to the color ramp just so that we have things a little bit more organized. So I'll show you what we have going on here. Factor at 0, we just have the brush texture, and then factor at 1, we have the brush texture that is now integrated into our distorted gradient, which is perfect. It's what we like to see. And then this will, if I'm not mistaken, it'll connect to the factor, and the transparent BSDF will connect to the mix shader. So I'll just do that real quick. So the color to the factor, and the transparent BSDF to the shader, the top input for the shader. And then we'll just connect the color dynamics to the bottom input of the mix shader. And if I press press Shift, Control, and left click on this, then once it loads, we now have an alpha, and I'll make this a little bit easier to see. We have an alpha for our grass texture. So the if I see real quick what's going on here, or if I show you guys, if I crank up the black stop, then it'll make things a little bit more transparent and a little bit sharper the more it goes to the white stop. If I crank up the white stop, it'll make whatever's already there flatter, right? So we can get a little bit of a mix of both. It looks like the white stop is at 0.6 and the black stop is at 0.2. So I'll do the black stop at 0.2 and the white stop at 0.6. There we go. And so now if I have everything plugged in correctly, it should look very similar. It looks like I have a little bit more texturing for the noise texture particularly. So let's go back to our shader that we just created, and I'll add a little bit, just a little bit more. There we go. So maybe 30 is a good number for that, and we can crank things up a little bit to add some more distortion, some more masking flair to that as well. I actually want to see, because I think I forgot to change the word that I cannot pronounce. That's why it's different. So we'll keep this texture at 15. And this will change to 3, and this will change to 3. There we go. Now it looks the same. And that's what we like to see. That's what we want. And so as you guys can see over here, the more we crank up this white color stop, it'll get rid of those softer transparent edges. And the more we crank up the black stop, it'll increase those transparent edges. And so in your particular shader here, something that I forgot to mention was if you press N on your keyboard while you're hovering over your shader editor, it'll open up this little side menu, and you want to go to Options. We don't want to mess with anything that's backface culling. That's fine. We do want to check transparent shadows if that's not been checked already, as well as transparency right here. And we'll change this. It starts off as dithered, and you can see the color just needs to load here real quick. You can see that it has more of these little flakes that flicker and whatnot. We don't really want that. We just want to change it to blended so it'll look smoother. So that looks good. And that's all you need as far as transparency settings. So yeah, we can press N again to get rid of that. I'm seeing someone is asking about NPR or non-photorealistic. I think you guys have that sorted out. If not, I'll take a look back at the chat. But as far as textures go, that is everything that we need for a base grass texture, and this will just fill out the general look of your shader or grass base here. So I'll get rid of, I think this is the plane. So I'll get rid of the plane, And for this, I'll just focus in on the, which one is it? It's this one. So I'll just focus in on our particular texture that we just made and hide the flowers. So what we have here, what's going on? What's going on? I want this. Yeah. So if we plug all of this into our 2D instancing geometry node setup, and again, the tutorial for that is the same as my anime clouds tutorial, which is linked in the description. You'll find it under the wording that says use the geometry node setup in this tutorial for Ghibli Grass. So after the stream or whenever you'd like, feel free to click on that, and I'll go over the this particular geometry node setup in there. But this is what the base looks like, and we don't have. You'll notice we don't have the grass blades set up just yet, and that will come a little bit later. I'll show you guys how to do that in a second. But the grass base, this is really just to make sure that things in the background will still look like it's got some vegetation, it's got some movement with the brush texture, and we'll fill in everything else, as you can see here. Oh, let me exit this out. We'll be able to fill in everything else with the procedural grass blades, as well as other clovers that are all derived from this base shader. But yeah, I'm reading a question in the chat. Do you plan on even using Goo Engine? Have you tried that out? I actually haven't tried it out yet, but it looks really cool. What I hear is that the people who own Goo Engine are integrating it into Blender, so they're merging softwares. I don't know when that's going to happen, but it does. I think he said it'll happen over the next couple years. So I'm very excited about that, and they have some really cool anime particular nodes for things like this as well. What about NPR prototype? I'm not quite sure what that is. Is that in Blender specifically, like a particular Blender version? Oh, it is. I'll have to take a look at that. That's really cool. I didn't know about that, but maybe I'll do a tutorial on that one of these days. That'd be fun. But yeah, so we have the base texture in for our 2D instancing. We've made that all right here. You guys can give yourselves a pat on the back if you've been following here. And now we have just enough time to show you the different variations for our textures. I'll zoom back in on these. So as you can see, we have a clover texture right here. Very small, very simple, and it's the same as all of these different flower textures, and as well as these, which just have 2 more spherical gradients in them. So to show you how we got that, all you have to do in order to get that particular clover texture is to get rid of the mix or the noise that is distorting the gradient texture. That is how you do the clover. You can squash this however you like. It's much easier to do that in geometry nodes and have things still centered on here. But that is how you get the clover texture. If you want to have more clovers in the same texture, then you can just press, I think you press Shift Control D. Yeah. And that will keep everything connected. And then you can just add a mix color set to lighten and connect the 2. Oh, we'll actually need, for this, it'll actually need its own its own one of these here. So I'll just press Shift D, bring that up. I'm going a little bit into this. Let me just move this stuff a little bit further down, so we have a little bit more room. So I'll bring these up a little bit more, and this here. And now I can connect this to the vector input and move the y-axis around and the x-axis. So now we have two different clovers, if you will, in there. And if we connect the I have to connect the light into the linear light. If we connect that, then now we should have a different type of mask. Yeah, there we go. And this will be affected in real time wherever you want to place that particular gradient. And that just builds out your ability to make flowers and other sorts of grasses and whatnot. I can change this to a more blue color, and that's how I got my regular flowers. And I just added an extra little gradient on the other side as well, and changed this noise texture to a Voronoi in order to have a little bit more like smaller buds, flower buds and whatnot. So that's the general concept for that. The grass blades themselves are a little bit different, and I'll actually unpin this, and we can look at how they're different here. So we have this is a little bit less organized than our other thing, but it's the same shader setup that we just did before. Let me move some things over just to organize some more stuff for you guys, make it easier to look at. So all of this let me move this here. So all of this is what we just built, right? And I think even this as well. And the only thing that has changed is that the gradient texture itself is plugged into a color ramp that I have the color stops. I have an extra one that's very light gray, and the black color stop is now very, very light gray. I can show you the color value for that. It's at roughly 0.4. And what that will then do is plug into the scale of a mapping node with the texture coordinate that has the object input connected. But that'll connect to the scale of the mapping node for our wave texture. And what that does, I'll let you guys see here. I'll focus in a little bit more on this. Is what that does, if I just connect this particular color ramp, is the gradient and the noise is now distorting the way that these wave textures operate. So this particular artifacting is not, we don't want to be able to see this line come up and then make this curve and then come up again. So we end up, I think we end up just blocking it out for the most part with the gradient texture. But what this allows us to do is change the and distort a little bit the wave texture so that we have a little bit of a fanning out grass blade, if you will. And that just, if I connect the alpha back in, that allows us to have this sort of fanning out look to it. And the reason why it's we have all of this a little bit bigger is just because our gradient, once again, has the generated input connected, or output, I should say, connected to the mapping node, which just makes it so that whatever plane or geometry this is, the gradient is on, it will stay the same size relative to the size of that plane. So if I just decrease this in size a little bit, you'll see that we now have a smaller gradient area. And then if I press tab and increase this a little bit more, then you'll just see how that works. And so in the actual grass, the only thing that's visible above the terrain line is what's halfway up, if that makes sense. So I'll just undo that here. There we go. And so that's the general idea of how you create those grass blades. Do you guys want me to recreate all of the nodes themselves and show you how that works? Or would you like to just move on to questions and whatnot? What do you guys think? What would you like? Because it shouldn't be too long to recreate this, but I do believe it will go to the end of stream, so it's up to you guys. Let's see here. I'll let you guys get a screenshot of this if you'd like. That's the general scope of what things look like in the grass texture. All right, I'm reading in the chat here. I see how to make the others, but others may want to see. Yeah, good point. What do you think about making your own NPR style? Yeah, so I'm probably going to take some pointers from other styles like the arcane style and then build off of that into my own style. My arcane shaders aren't exact to the way that the arcane style looks, but I think that's totally fine because I want to make things a little bit unique to me. So as I go through that process, I'll be able to show you guys my thought process as well as the different nodes that I'm using to take inspiration and whatnot. But then move on to doing my own sort of thing. So yes, I'll definitely be trying to make my own NPR style. Reading another message in chat, might be cool to control the brush texture scale by proximity to camera, so objects further away have larger strokes. That is a great idea. Yeah, we can actually see how to do that right here. So if I click on this, focus in on this, and then we move over. I'm actually going to go to the original texture and show you guys this way how to do that, because that is fantastic, and I want to answer that question here. So the reason why it's not moving in scale depending on the camera's size and angle is because we do have the object input of our texture coordinate node connected. Oh wait, it's not this. It should be this texture. Yes, it's because the object. But if we press camera, and I have my camera parented to my viewport view, if that makes sense. I'll show you guys how to do that real quick here. If you press N on the viewport view, it'll give you this little tab here. And then it's either in tool or yes, it's in view. So you can just check lock camera to view, and wherever you're looking now, your camera will be locked to your view. So that's how you do that. And now, because we have the texture coordinate node, the texture coordinate node with the camera output plugged into the vector, and I'll increase the scale a little bit so you guys can see how this works. The further away we get, actually a little bit easier way of explaining this is the brush texture itself will stay the same size in terms of, or in relation to your camera. But if you go further away, then the brush texture will, I guess, increase with that. Well, actually, no, it'll decrease with the further away you get and increase with how close you get. So I hope that answers your question there. It's a cool idea. I really like that. It does have a little bit of a distortion to it depending on the angle that you're looking at it, but it shouldn't matter if you have everything pretty much in the same general view as like anime does, as far as like having matte paintings that don't move or animate a whole lot as far as camera angle. But yeah, I hope that answers your question there. Oh yeah, you could also use window. Window, I find that it has a strange sort of squashing effect, and I'll show you here. So if I connect window, and this will just load for a second, then it'll be scaled a little bit strangely. And so I'll just press Shift Control and left click on the color ramp here. And so you can see that it's a little bit squashed. This is supposed to be more circular rather than like an oval. And I think in order to change that, you'll need to adjust the y-axis scaling. The camera option doesn't have that particular downside to it, because it's going specifically to where the camera is, so it has a little bit more of an accuracy to the scaling of that. Wow, my voice is getting a little bit raspy. I'm gonna take a drink real quick. All right. Looking at the chat one more time, we'll see. Well, not one more time, but I'll look at it again. I'm curious how I'm reading chat here. I'm curious, Comfee Mug, how did you learn this stuff yourself? I noticed if you're after a I think that word is specificated style or specific style, then it's not really easy to find what you're looking for. Yeah, that's the interesting part. So this particular brush texture look I actually got from a photorealistic looking log texture tutorial. And I just thought, oh, that's a cool combination of nodes that can emulate the brush stroke look without me having to create a patterned brush stroke look myself. So it's really interesting. You can pull from all sorts of tutorials and things, no matter what style it's in, as long as you're able to just recreate it on your own terms, I guess, within your own shader setup, and make it do what you want to do. So yeah, don't just, my recommendation is don't just limit yourself to a specific style when it comes to looking up tutorials, because all types of tutorials have great different techniques like this and other techniques that you can just maybe modify a little bit. This is not modified at all from that photorealistic shader, but you can make it your own and implement it into the shader textures. The PBR, no, not PBR, NPR shaders. You can implement it into your stylized shaders is what I'm trying to say. And make that just work for you. So your follow-up is you said, so a process of exploration, I suppose? Yeah, absolutely. It's fun because looking at one particular style, you can be blind to a whole lot of other techniques that are out there that may help with your style. So yeah, do a little bit of variety. Probably focus a little bit more on the style that you're going for if there are tutorials for it out there. But if not, then just play around with the nodes. Again, you can take a look at some Pinterest screenshots of different styles and whatnot. They have tons of things on here like this. This was actually, I got an idea for having the noise texture distort the normal of the diffuse node. I know it's not exactly what's going on here, but I got the idea from this. And so there are a lot of different ways to get ideas for different textures. And looking up screenshots is honestly the fastest way to find the style that you want, and to see what nodes they're using and recreate it on your own. You don't necessarily need a tutorial for that. Let me see here. Thanks, dude. I'm very excited about the workflow. It's unique for sure. Oh, thank you. Yeah. And I think what you guys will find is as you create your own textures and start just like really getting into the weeds, if you will, the ins and outs of how nodes work and whatnot, and have a general idea of what style that you want to do. Maybe there's not a tutorial out there for it, but there's likely a what is it called? A picture or a painting out there that you can base your style off of. Once you get a good understanding of the way that nodes work and textures work, it'll just be a matter of using mixed color nodes and color ramps and the noise and Voronoi texture basically to create whatever you like. How can I send some of my work to you, Comfee? Oh yeah, that's a great question. I think I have my my work email in the bio of my channel. If not, then I'll update it, and you can send it there. But I'd love to see some of your stuff. That would be really cool. But yeah, so any more questions? Do you guys have any more questions about the grass shader or anything else that you want me to go over in more depth? I want to make sure you guys can understand how to set all of this stuff up. So what do you guys think? Do you use grease pencil for your short films? I really want to start looking into implementing grease pencil into the more 3D and procedural texturing. I think that would be a lot of fun. So over the next year, as I make my short film, I'll definitely be implementing some grease pencil techniques and whatnot, and making videos about that. All right. Might be a good idea to make the flowers a little higher so that rotating them doesn't clip behind the grass. Yes, absolutely. And it's very easy to do that. So I just have the flower texture selected, and this is not on the grass plane, if you will. It's on its own plane. And to show you guys what I mean, oh, hang on a second. Ah, there we go. So I have it underneath. It's just these little squares, so that I can control where these flowers are. But yeah, so can literally just press G and move it on the Z axis a little bit further up. That's a great suggestion. And now the flowers will be a little bit more prominent, a little bit more above the grass. That's a great idea. But yeah, so I think I still have a little bit more time. I'll just show you guys the recreation of the grass blade nodes here. So let me focus in on this once again, and I'm going to copy over what I already have over here, just so it's easier to take a look back at it. How did you get the color variation in geo nodes again? I actually didn't in geo nodes. There is a way to do that. And Tawan Sunflower has a great tutorial on that, and I think I have a way to do that as a part of my anime clouds tutorial as well. But you don't necessarily need to for the grass here, because the shader is controlling the majority of the color, and you can just have a little bit of different textures that have some variations in color. So you can see that some of the textures are a little bit lighter than some of the other textures. and they're two separate ones. And that's literally just making a duplicate of one of these textures here. And I'll focus in. So as you can see, this is the same texture as this, as well as this, and they're just they're different lightness and darkness values. So this is the lightest, this is second lightest or a mid-tone, and then this is the darkest tone. And so that's generally what I have, and then I just add another 2D instancing group node with a join geometry node to the geometry nodes there. So that's the general idea, but you can definitely use like the stored attribute node in the geometry node to store different numbers, if you will, for the instances here, and assign a slightly different color to them in the shader setup as well. Let me see here. Did I already read this? You can use a noise texture in GeoNodes to give each plane a variation attribute, which is used in shader to alter hue and value. Yes, absolutely. That is absolutely how you do it. Tawan Sunflower has a fantastic tutorial on how to do that. I'll link his tutorial in the VOD description, as well as the highlight description video that I'll be releasing on Friday, so that you guys can check that out. But yeah, let me see here. Geometry nodes is the hardest to learn. I think so too. After a little bit, you get the hang of it. I'm still on the learning curve for that, just because it's different than actual texturing. But it is a fun thing to work with. My email isn't in the bio. Gotcha. I'll change that after stream, so that you'll be able to send something over there. Let me see what else. Can toon shaders be rendered in cycles? I believe they can. You just have a lot less options as far as toon shaders go. Like the where is it? The shader to RGB node is not in cycles, unfortunately. And I think that the mix color works a little bit differently. I have never fully worked in cycles, but it does have a little bit of a different style to it, just based on its different rendering engine. It has different perks and different negatives to that, just the same as how Eevee has different perks and negatives to it. But yeah, you can also animate a noise shader, which alters value to easily fake wind. Yeah, no, that's really fun to do. I might make a tutorial on that in the future if I use that in one of my short films here. But yeah, so I'll just very quickly, before we end stream at roughly 8 p.m. my time, which is in 12 minutes, I'll just show you what we have going on for the, or I'll recreate what we have going on for the grass blades texture. So I'll just copy this and bring this over to our base texture here. Let me see here. So I'll move this over and press Control V. There we go. So our gradient texture, this is the same one as this here, and I'll get rid of this. We don't need this for this demonstration. So we have the same gradient texture here as here, and same color ramp as well. And it looks like we have less noise distortion. So we'll want to do. Wait a second. Ah, yes. Okay. We'll want to do 0.05 for the distortion there. So it's just a little bit, not too much. And then what we'll do is add a wave texture with a mapping and texture coordinate node with the object plugged into the vector. And then that will have a color ramp and a linear light. We'll also want another color ramp for the gradient texture as well. So very quickly, we can add a wave texture. There we go. And I think I had it on the x-axis still. Yeah, looks like it. And then I have the scale at 25, distortion to 0.5. I don't think I changed anything else. So distortion 0.5, scale at 25. There we go. And then color ramp, we'll also want to press Control T on here and connect the object info node there. There we go. And add a color ramp. There we have it. Connect the color to that color ramp. And now I'll just want to press Shift Control D on this color ramp connected to the gradient texture. And I'll press Y so that it's just moving on the Y axis no matter how much I'm moving around my mouse. And we'll want to change this value to, I think, 0.4. I could be wrong. I think that's the value that we want. Let's see here. So that's at 0.4 roughly. And this is at 0.6 roughly. Okay. And then the positions for those are 0.08 and 0.09. So we'll just do that. So this is 0.08. There we go. And then I'll click on the white color stop and just add another color stop here. And then change this to, was it 0.7 or 0.6? I think it was at 0.6. Yeah, pretty much at that's going to bother me. 0.6. There we go. 0.6 value. 0.6. Oh, goodness. That we don't want that for oops. We don't want to change the hex. We just want to change the value here. So 0.6, and that position was at 0.09. There we go. And now this color ramp is plugged into the scale of our mapping node for the wave texture. And so if I connect the texture here, you can see, okay, we have more, quite a lot of distortion. Might not want all of that distortion. Let's see how this works. Yeah, so for this case, we might want to decrease the noise a little bit, to maybe like a 7. There we go. And we'll also want to crank the color stops for this as well. It looks like the black color stop is at 0.08. Oh, sorry, that's the white color stop. And the black one is at 0.07. So we'll do 0.0. Sorry, not 0.07. 0.7. There we go. And 0.8. Awesome. So it looks like that's what we have going on there. Might be a little bit too sharp. We'll see. And then we have a linear light mix color. So we'll just do a mix color. There we go. And add or change this to linear light. And let's see which ones these are plugged in. Looks like our wave texture is plugged into the top, the A input, and the gradient texture with its original color stops are connected to the B input. So I'll just do that very quickly. A input, and then B input. And now we can see, what was the factor on this? Factor is all the way at 1. So we'll increase that to 1. All right. And so we're getting close. We're not quite there. And I think the reason for that is because we had a little bit of a different scaling for this here. And maybe the color ramp for our gradient texture was changed a little bit. So looks like the x-axis scaling stays the same at 0.8 as well as the z, but the y scaling is at 0.9. Oh, you're leaving then? All right. Have a great night. Thank you so much for enjoying the or joining the stream. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll have these twice a month. These public ones twice a month from now on, hopefully. So thank you so much. Have a great night. I'll just finish this up here, and then I'll say good night to the rest of you guys as well. But yeah, so moving over here, what was I doing before? Yeah, so we were adjusting the color ramp. So I'm just going to get rid of that there, and we'll change the X scaling to 1.8. Same with the Z scaling, and then the Y scaling will be at 0.9, and then we'll just recenter this. So I'll move this a little bit more on the Y-axis. Might need to do some cleanup with this here. So move the white color stop out to 0.2, and then the black color stop we might want to crank in a little bit more to be 0.06. That seems about right. Yeah, and then what we can do is connect the linear light color ramp, or sorry, mix color, into the factor, and connect the mix shader. And once this loads, it should, yeah. So now we have the individual grass blades, and so I'll just see what that looks like over here. If I click on this and just show the oh, which one was it? It was this one. Okay, just show that particular texture. Then we have little grass blades that are then cut off by the terrain here. So you can see we're just getting those top wisps, which is what we want. We can sharpen things up a little bit with the color ramp if you would like for that specific texture. But then integrated, that will, and I'll change this particular one back to the base texture so that we can completely integrate it. Was it this? It was this. There we go. So let's change this back to the original base texture. So we have that. And now integrated into the base, or with the base texture, as you can see, I have a grass blades node there, and then a light grass blades node here. We can see how it all comes together to give you this wild grass effect that is in the Ghibli style. I think this is fantastic. I hope that you guys think it's great as well. This will be great for filling out mid-range to somewhat close up to then all of your background shaders, sorry, your background grass. If you want to be very close up, then you'll see that it starts to break the illusion a little bit. So that's easily remedied by either doing a small paint over, if you're good at painting, or modeling some a little bit more detailed grass and putting that just in front of the grass that we have here. But this will definitely fill out your scene, and I can show you guys once again how this all comes together in the asset pack that I have for next month, for September. This all fills out, and it's a little bit more laggy on my end just because there's a lot more going on. But it all fills out this nice lush grass with some fake shadows, variations in different colors and whatnot. And you can have it on top of these little rocks. I say little, they're not exactly little, as well as the rocks in the background. That's the general idea of how you'll be able to use these grass textures in your scene. Yeah, I'm taking a look at chat here. Someone said, Starry said, I hope you don't mind me saying, but when I requested grass, I meant like flat materials, but your grass cards are really lovely. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I may do a different stream for different, more detailed grass materials. I think that's what you're talking about, the more close-up ones. But so if I get to that point, then I'll definitely be able to address that question. But overall, this will be what fills out your scene and gives it that Studio Ghibli or anime style look to it. Shibi said, "Whoa, I want to export such things to game engine. I have a lot of fun making games with that." Yeah, so what you can do is you can individually bake these textures and then import them into your own game engine. I don't have a particular tutorial about that just yet, but I know that there are quite a lot out there that I've used in order to just bake alphas, which is what you would want to do, and then bring them into your engine. But yeah, taking one more look at the chat. It is now the end time for my stream. But any other questions or ideas that you guys have before I say goodnight to you guys? Let me see. Vid Dragon says, how would you do some of the sharper grass parts, like in the beginning of Darker Than Black first ending? I haven't seen that. I'd be interested to look at that. Is that an anime or is it something else? Would you model them or something more like this? You can. What I would recommend. I think I understand what you're talking about. It's an anime. Awesome. I'll take a look at that. But what I would recommend is having this in all of the mid to background grass elements. And then once it gets to about, we'll say, about this distance, it just the close-ups to, like the major close-ups to your camera. If you need to, then you can either do a quick paint over in another software like Krita, which is free, and that's what I use to paint textures and create thumbnails and whatnot. Or you can do that in Blender with Grease Pencil. I know that there's a particular tutorial. I can't remember what it was called for Grease Pencil, but they have some really good brushes that you can do inside of Blender with Grease Pencil as well. Or you can model them. And that's what I would probably do, because I'm not the best at hand painting things. So I tend to just go based off of procedural textures and then models. And you can, in my opinion, make things look a whole lot more clean as far as integration if you model the up close grass. And it shouldn't take very long to do. And if I'll probably end up having to do that in my own short film, which this diorama is from. But in my Heartborn short film, I'll probably end up having to do that for closer up grass textures and shots and whatnot. So I'll make a tutorial or an overview video about that once I do get there. Let me see. They definitely use 3D models for grass and flowers for the foreground, and then 2D painted behind. Oh, you're talking about for the anime? That's really cool. I love that anime is integrating more 3D stuff. I know that there's a little bit of a pushback on that because it's not like traditional, but I love the integration between 3D and 2D. I think it speeds up your process so much quicker for creating scenes and whatnot. I think it's really cool. Oh, by the way, have you considered using UCU Paint or similar? I forgot the name of the add-on that's kind of like it. I'm not sure what that is. Is it for what is it called? Grease Pencil? Is that what that's for? I'm gonna answer this last question, and then we'll end stream here because I need to go sleep. But yeah. Yeah, I'm not too sure what that particularly is. If it's textures for whatchamacallit, grease pencil, then yeah, that's probably what I'll end up using if modeling doesn't work out. You just said for procedurally generating textures and adding layers for textures. I don't know. I'm not too sure. I'll have to look into that more. But yeah, people only notice bad CG, so there's always pushback despite everyone enjoying the good CG. Yeah, some of the best CG, and I heard this from other CG developers and whatnot, CGI artists, is that the best CGI is when you don't notice it at all. That is very true. If it's bad, then you'll notice it. But if it's good, and hopefully this is good here, then it'll integrate into your scene, whether it's in the hand-painted style or it's in the photorealistic style. You say paint add-on texture layers into Blender. You see you paint add-on. I'll look at that. I haven't heard of that. Add-on, but sounds like that'll be really cool to implement. I'll just have to verify on my own, and then I'll get back to you guys about that. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the stream. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's joined. This is so cool. I'm really glad that you guys joined for this live tutorial. I had a lot of fun with you guys, answering your questions and showing you guys the overview as well as individual node setup on how to build these grass shaders and textures. I hope that this helped you guys. I hope that this I'm seeing here that Stopzilla says this stream inspired me a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that it inspired you. And that's the whole goal. I want you guys to be able to create things that you love. And so in the comments of any of my videos, tell me what you guys are making. I love to read about them and ask you guys more about those projects. Or just tell me about what you want to make, and we'll see if I can make a tutorial on how to do that. Stately says, thank you, Comfee. You're so awesome. You're so awesome. Thank you. Good night, everyone. God bless. God bless you too. And best of luck with your projects. You as well. I hope you have a great night. I am going to say good night as well. Hearts in the chat. Thank you so much for joining, guys. You're all so amazing. I am so thankful for all of your support, for being here. I'm going to have these public streams twice a month. So stay on the lookout for that. And then for paid members, I will have a weekly stream. So let me know what you guys are interested in, what you guys would like to see. I will continue building out my short films, and I'll switch between the Ghibli style and the arcane style. So I think next stream, or the stream after that, I'll show you guys what I have in the works for my Banner of Souls short film and the arcane style that's going into that. You're the best teacher on YouTube. Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I hope that I am able to teach you guys something, or at least inspire you guys to create. But with that said, thank you guys once again for joining the stream. I'm so blessed by you guys. God bless you guys, and stay comfy, as they say. And I'll post a highlight video about this on Friday, as well as the full VOD that you'll be able to find in the description of that video. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great night or day or whatever time you're on. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.